going to delay my other important pagan project. But today it was announced that actually I can probably find an email on it. I mean a thing on it. A GitHub command line utility. So this was announced, and I think this is really cool. I'm glad they're doing it. They're making their own utility. And we'll go read it on the web page here. And bottom line, I want to make, I've been working, I have a shell script for this called Repo. A command line utility that does stuff from a install hub. Of course, the first thing they have is fucking how to put it on your Mac. Anyway, it's cool that they have that, and it just actually, if anything, it's definitely evidence that they have a good API for doing this kind of thing. I don't know if this is the official one. Hub can be used directly to make shell scripts that directly interact with the API. That's fine. I don't know if this is actually one. There was one on, but it's on LinkedIn, and I read about it. And it kind of just got my mind. I actually need to delete stuff from my repos and clean them all up. And it's like so annoying. Lately, I've been renaming things. And it really is just so annoying because I've had a shell script that does that automatically from the command line before, both for GitHub and GitLab. And I just kind of let it fall out of disrepair. The API kind of grew past my shell script, so it stopped working. And I've been meaning to do this for a long time. This is actually one of my projects I wrote about on my blog / notes. If I can find it here. Find Gits. So one Git services command line utility to rule them all. So I've been wanting this for a while. And the reason I want one that actually ties multiple services together is because a lot of times I want to have something that works on one service and then ports over to another service. So particularly I want to be able to I want to take a token from GitLab and put it on GitHub so that I can auto-publish from GitLab to GitHub. And not just that, maybe Git source or GitHut or something else. So the world does not have currently a command line utility of any kind that is aware of all of the APIs. So we have really good ones for GitHub and GitLab that are independent, but there's nothing that combines all that together, and there's certainly nothing that combines it all together in a single command that can be run from any operating system, which is what Go would buy us. I've written it in shell before, and I've been wanting this thing for a long time. People ask me all the time, well, what should I code? Here you go. This is something the world needs. So I went ahead and made a thing for this. So let's see. So here's the GitLab on it. It's called GITS Gits. I figured I don't know, maybe a better name later, but and I haven't done really anything with it. I've been aware of the GraphQL and the GitHub API. The REST API for GitLab for a while, like testing this out. And I went ahead and set up some things to make this more fun and less dangerous. Namely, for example, this is a new account I've created called RWXU, and then I have an email for that account here that's totally not afraid of something like to stream. So this is meant to be streamable because I'm going to be using tokens and stuff on it, which is something I have tried to do in the past. Actually, I have tried to actually do live coding on this. I was really stupid in my first month when I did this, and I don't know how many times I doxed my token for this, and I had to delete the token and redo it as fast as possible. Praying to God that nobody read my token while I was doing it. If you manage to get the token, because I doxed it on accident here. The best you can do is you'll be able to control my little dashboard here, and that's fine. I'll just control it, but you won't be able to have access to my private account. Thank God. So this is a brand new GitLab account, nothing on it, and so this is what you would get if you had a new GitLab account. I cover why you wouldn't want GitHub over GitLab in another video. So yeah, and I've already created a place for this for the code to go in here. And I'm putting it under my own personal account, which this is another reason I'm doing this, because recently as I explained in another video some time ago, I've been backtracking off my _RWXRob ID because I wanted to have a group and under my personal account, I wanted to have multiple groups under my personal account. You can't do that with GitLab by default. It's been a long-standing open issue, but GitLab is maintaining that for personal projects, they call them, they're only top level, and therefore you don't need a separate group. If you want something like that, then create another group and then have a subgroups under that, which is what we're doing for Pagan and Artifx, and Artifx GG and all that stuff. So it raises the question: what do you put under your personal account versus your actual account? And so I think a lot of times things will grow. I remember specifically this happening with the TOML project, Tom's minimal markup language, and you know about TOML probably if you're a Rust coder in particular. And so Tom had this thing, and it was all under his account, and then he eventually moved it over into its own on GitHub. So we can eventually do that, kind of like we did with Pagan when Quentin helped us get those accounts. So what are we doing? We're making this thing, and we need to kind of figure out what we're going to do with the design. If nothing more tonight, since this is kind of a fun Saturday night, I would really feel successful if I could get it to delete a repo. That's all I want to do. I want to create a repo and delete a repo, and this is sometimes known as CRUD applications. Create, replace, update, delete. 90% of the applications you'd be paid to make in the world are going to be CRUD. And almost all of them involve some sort of REST API or Web API or GraphQL API. And we'll talk a little bit about the differences between the two of those, but we won't get really deep into it other than to talk about it. And yeah, this would be a good GraphQL review for me as well. I've done some GraphQL before, but not anything really, really extensive. And since I'm shooting to do a little contract work, almost all of it is going to eventually involve some sort of CRUD. And might not be the funnest kind of stuff to make, but it definitely is consistently needed across the board from multiple companies. So making a CRUD application fundamentally depends on understanding how to talk to the thing. So that almost always means you're going to pull up the API. But even before that, I've already done the Go mod init. In fact, I'll just go through the steps to do that just again. If you're building a new Go application, you do Go init, Go mod init, and then you put the path, gitlab.com rwx-rob/gits, and that will make your Go mod file. And that puts some stuff in here. This is the key right here. And that saves you from a lot of other things. That's the best modern way to do that. If you see old information about updating your Go path and thing, a lot of that's out of date. So anyway, what else? So then I have a README here. I might as well add a license to it while I'm at it, and a contributors agreement, all that jazz. Because I just want to start right, and now that I've got everything signed, I want to do that right in case any one of you wants to help contribute to this. It'd be really great. This is a super fun project to add to learn GraphQL stuff, and we're going to need a lot of code written. That's relatively simple code to write. It's just a matter of creating an interface for every single possible command, and that's going to get into questions of what is a command line interface actually going to look like? Will it have color, or should it have just a command line, or is it a terminal UI, which are different, right? Terminal UIs are they take control of the whole screen versus just the command line. So all this our decisions have to be made in the future. But the one we need to make right now is do what kind of license do I have, and I'm gonna go steal the PEG license. The licenses, because we just did this for the new PEG library. So I'm going to do the same thing. I add a contributing. I'll copy that here. I'm going to contribute the developer developer certificate of originality of origin, which guarantees that anybody committing to the project gives their permission for you to do whatever. They hand over all rights to the copyright holders, and that is really important, so that other people who want to use your tool, particularly corporations, are afraid of litigation, will do it and give you permission to use it. So a couple other files there to get us going right on a project. I did make this public. If you want to follow along, you can follow it. I leave my rather long things here mostly so you can see where I'm at. and I don't have to repeat myself in terms of what I'm working on. If you want to go, look at the repo, you can go do that. All right, so I need to save this, so git status. Let's go ahead and just make a commit for this. Git commit -a, and then let's say untracked files. Are those untracked? Git add. Let's do that. Git commit. There we go. So let's say, let's see. Actually, let's not commit it yet. Okay, so let's not quite commit it yet. Let's actually make the interface for at least the first interface we want to do. Because this is a service application, I expect it to have all kinds of kind of user level sort of things. So the functions, the methods and functions that are going to exist are going to be, it's going to be very, very functional. So it's going to have these things. So I'm defining an abstraction called a service. The service is just whatever kind of service we have. Anything that allows you to work with repos is, all these CRUD applications are going to have create, replace, delete, that kind of thing. And the question though is some of them actually allow you to create tickets and stuff. So I kind of want to, qualify these and put repos in here. I thought about it and it's like, you know what, let's go ahead and allow people to create multiple repos at one time if they want. I mean, that's not a common thing, but why not? Why not have that be the top level repo? And I mean, this is a little bit tricky because, okay, so each one of the interfaces that's coming, the reason it's an interface is because it's probably going to be a struct that's going to contain information about what type of repo to create, what is the name, what are the initial permissions, all that stuff. So we will make a struct for that, and that will get passed in. And those structs may vary. We might pass in as just a string and say, so if it's just a string, then okay, we're going to do that. So we're kind of wide open on the signature here because we want it to be sort of Python-esque, in its ease of use. And then we can have different services implement this interface and know that they're going to behave the same way, even though they have radically different internal implementations, because GitHub is obviously not GitLab. So that's kind of the goal there, to gain that commonality. And so we just want to create and delete, and we're going to just return a simple error, which is basic stuff. And I sometimes wonder if I should return multiple errors. But I mean, we don't really need to define that right now. We can just come to that later. All right, so I think we have everything ready. GitLab is the one that I was going to work on. So I have GitLab here, and I have delete kind of starting. I should probably say, actually, the truth is we should probably, I think we should probably not do that. I did that actually before I did the other stuff. So the interface, let's go ahead and remove that. And then let's say we're going to have, let's give us our, open up a, I'm going to, let's see. I don't want to, I think I'm going to remove, I'm going to add it right back. Actually, what we can do is we can just add, let's just delete that. So let's do git rm, whoops. Is it remove or delete? I can't remember. GitLab. That should -r. And then we can do git status. So yeah. I actually deleted the thing too. So cool. And that means that we're ready to commit. So git commit. And we're going to say legal files and create, what did I put? Create, delete. Okay, So that's just, a thing. And we'll do a git push on that. I kind of, oh, what do we do here? So version gets, what? Oh, I had a thing already before that. All right, so let's do that. All right, so that should get us what we want to look at here. Wait, did I? Oh no, I combined them. So yeah, we have a universal Git repo tool. And if I refresh this, I should have some code here now and a license and everything. Contributing license, change log. So yeah, not a big deal. I do like these better commit messages. So we haven't really done anything yet. But here's the fun part. I do love that the GPG commits are showing up now. I'm just gonna take a second since I'm here to check the restream and see if we're good to go. Hey, we got a YouTube viewer. Yay, YouTube. Another reason I want to break from my other projects, publish tokens in your stream. Yeah, you don't want to publish tokens, of course not. I'm not going to be able to see the chat from GitLab. This is another project that I plan to do relatively soon, particularly since Twitch is going to start adding inline like ads, and I don't know how that's going to mess up chat. Is that obviously they're either going to have to pause it or they're going to have to stop people from seeing what's going on in the stream, and they're going to miss it. So that kind of motivates me to use the restream interface. So that might be a project that gets put ahead of Pagan for a bit, so that I can actually see like Pair 500 here is watching us on the YouTube. Welcome you in, and maybe not feel so lonely. If you do come over to Twitch, I can see you in the IRC if you actually send messages there. So yeah. Apparently, Restream has an interface. It uses WebSockets to keep track of all the chat messages that are coming in, and so I intend to make an interface for that now that I've dropped my affiliate from Twitch. So that's all coming, just to let you know. And yeah, let's do some more here. All right, so what we got? Let's go ahead and get our tokens for this. I've already looked at the GitLab API at some point. Got lots of stuff going on over here. That's the thing from earlier. Oh, I really have to read that whole thing. I've been meaning to do that. Oh, there's our feed. I actually have a copy of this already, so I thought I did anyway. And that hash, I want to save that too from Mac. Sorry for the cleanup here of it. Pagan can go to sleep for a bit. And LinkedIn, you don't need to see that. Robs.io, yep. All right, so let's do this. Let's do. Let's go to the GitLab API, and I can find it over here. Actually, I'm going to drop this too. That's left over from the other project. Extra. All right, so let's add. Yeah, let's go ahead and add it. Let's go ahead and check out with the GitLab. GitLab delete API. If I remember right, the delete is actually included in the GraphQL beta. I think it's still beta, to tell you the truth. And let's just pull this up in. Go ahead and pull up the graphic browser. Yeah, and we'll shut that down for a second. All right, so I actually want to have an interactive thing for the token, and that'll eventually land in the command. But that's not super important right now. We kind of have. I'm wondering if we need some sort of session attribute. I don't know if it would work in here or not. We need a way to set the token and the credentials for a service, and it might actually have to land in a service before we're able to do all that rest of that stuff. We're going to find out. I try to think of the interface before we write the concrete implementation, but we'll kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. So first of all, we can jump right down here. I tweeted on this actually. Down here, it talks about the Git their kind of falling out of interest. No, that's not it. Where's the API docs? There they are. Okay. So I love this right here. Although there was some patent and licensing concerns in GraphQL, these have been resolved to our satisfaction. Specifically talking about the Facebook stuff that Apache like beat them over the head with. All of us did. I wrote a blog about it. Most hits ever on my Medium about how GraphQL was not and React were not ever released as open source software ever. And Apache eventually agreed and beat them over the head with it and forced them into submission. Apache actually said that nobody was allowed to publish anything on their of any of kind on any of their platforms who had anything to do with any patent from Facebook, because you can if you had ever worked on one, you were no longer allowed, if I got it right, to work on any Apache project. And that was enough pressure to make Facebook give in and do the right thing and re-implement their stuff under MIT and OWF for GraphQL. Which is good because GraphQL was kind of up in the air there for a while. Fantastic technology, by the way. It's really great. It's a really great approach to it. GraphQL, by the way, is different than REST in that you write a query and you can get a bunch of stuff in one request instead of like making multiple back and forth requests, which is what REST requires. So, but it's important to notice here that, and I got hit with this last time I did this, that the REST API is their main API, still is. So I don't know how up to date this is. There is a Slack channel. Actually, it's a Gitter tool. I wonder if I should pull that up now. Probably should. Now wait. I think there's a Gitter tool where there's a community where you can talk about all these kind of questions. So let's jump ahead to the GraphQL API and see how we're going to get stuff. We'll be using curl a lot. If you've done an API before, hey, great Jenny. GraphQL ran NTP. Yeah. So GraphQL is the choice. So we're gonna use a lot of curl. In case you don't know, apparently the guy who made curl, libcurl, is a big Twitch streamer, and so you should go take a look at him too. Anyway, there are several ways to authenticate. We're going to be doing personal and project access tokens. They're the easiest by far, in my opinion. You can save them. There's no interaction. OAuth, I'm not a fan of OAuth because it usually, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what we end up using. OAuth tokens are fine, but you have to generate them. It depends on the bearer. I'm not a pro at all this stuff. I've used it enough to navigate it, but so I couldn't tell you the differences between the two. May actually have personal and private tokens here as well. And so yeah. So let's see here. So the first thing we want to do is authenticate, and I'm trying to look at my shell script that does this. What if I still have it? I think I killed it, actually. It was a GitHub shell script. Yeah, I think it's probably dead at this point. I don't think I have it anymore. I tend to do that. I just chuck stuff because I know I can rewrite it. It's kind of stupid. Let's see. Oh yeah. Here's I wrote this tool a while back. So this is GQ. This is a generic GraphQL poster. So it can do curl things for GraphQL, and then you don't have to. Yeah, but this is good to know because this is how you do curl. You have to put your authorization, bearer token, blah blah blah. And usually you have to send it as application JSON. There is an application GraphQL type now, which is not really used that much. This is actually kind of a cool thing. This is grabs my token from GitLab and puts it in the right spot, so it doesn't ever reveal it to you. I may or may not reveal the token. I'll try not to actually, because I don't want somebody messing with my stream in the middle of it. But it's not going to hurt me. So yeah. What else? So that was what we were doing. We were like playing around with different things. GH I think is the GitHub one, which is I think pretty sure it does the same. Actually, let me just to be safe. I'm almost 90% sure I don't have anything in there, but let me just check. Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is fine. Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Cool things. Cool things in there. Nothing scary. So again, all I really want to do is remind myself the curl syntax for bearer tokens and stuff. So what can we do now? Let's actually do some curl requests. It's actually easier to do all the curl stuff first, and then figure out how to make those requests using HTTP client in Go, which frankly I haven't used in 8 months. So I'm gonna have to let's see. No, longer than that. Probably a year. Last summer camp. So, and you got to learn all that. It's really easy in Shell to do this stuff, and it's kind of hard not to just do it in Shell, which is why I'm making this. So we got to get our authentication going on. So let's go jump ahead to the samples. So efficient scope, blah blah blah. Don't want any of that. Let's do. Just telling us all. We wanted. I don't know pagination. We're never going to need pagination. Let's see. We don't want that. We want to just jump right ahead. Oh, this is annoying. I need to talk about this. So yeah, there again, API v4 is the preferred version. Support from being released. Blah blah blah. Was removed from GitLab 11. So I had to check on that because they've had a lot of releases since the last time I played with this, which was at least 9 months ago. And so yeah, here's I'm just looking up the updates here. They removed get, it looks like. What I want to know is how much they have added to their to their GitLab to their GraphQL stuff, because I ran into some things where they didn't have it. So you had to mix, and the same with Twitch, by the way. So Twitch, you have to mix REST API and well, no, I'm confusing that with GitHub is all GraphQL, which is really too bad because these other ones haven't caught up yet. So yeah, let's jump right ahead to the GraphQL stuff. Getting started with GraphQL, getting started with GraphQL API. Let's go ahead and go through that since I need a refresher. GraphQL token. Okay, so GraphQL style guide. Example can run using command line or this GraphQL is really cool. I'll show you that in a bit. You can go over here and you can actually write commands and see how they work. As long as you're logged in to you don't have to have a token or anything, and you can actually test your stuff. GitHub doesn't have anything like that as far as I know. I think GraphQL is not is an application that anybody can implement, and it just so happens that GitLab has got one on their site that they let you go play with. Graphical. All right, so we have authorization header. Use GraphQL for Salesforce. Nice. I'm a big fan of GraphQL. I since I started using it, I thought it was cool when it came out, and they actually have a documentary about that you can watch. Yeah, I mean, if you want to watch it, you can go to. I'm not gonna play it today, but is GraphQL. Yeah, well, that's not it. A movie. Yeah, the documentary. Here you go. Talks about how they invented it, where it came from. It's really funny because the guys seem kind of like totally disconnected from all the shit happening at Facebook, and just like bury their head in the sand. Engineers. It's good. It's really good. I really liked it, and so yeah. Anyway, let's go back here and start this up. So I'm gonna have to get a token at some point. Authorize your request by generating a personal access token to use this bearer token. So they're telling us to use a personal access, which I will go ahead and do. I know how to do this. I'm going to take it all the way up to the part where I do it. and hopefully, so I don't hand over even my streamer token for this dummy account. So it's over here if I remember right, and I click on settings, and where's tokens, access tokens, and enter the name of your application. So I'm gonna call it Gits, and actually, yeah, expires. I don't think we need it to expire. And this is always hard because it's like, do you do everything or not? It's like, I've done like kind of like hit and miss stuff and always had it like get in the way eventually. It turned out to be my tokens. So since you have to like make a new one before you can change the scope, I'm going to go ahead and make it like everything. So grants complete read write access TPI, registry, grants read only access, to the authenticated user's profile through user API. Nope. Read API grants no. Read repository no. Write repository. All groups and projects, the container registry and the package registry. Grants write access to container registry images on private projects. I don't know here. I don't know. Let's actually see. What do they recommend? Do they? Whoops. Did I skip it already? I guess I must have. I'm just gonna add them all because I don't think it's gonna block me. We're gonna find out. So create a personal access token, and so there it is. Make sure you save it and don't look at it again. And now it's all there for you to see. So I'm obviously gonna have to delete that one because I didn't think it was gonna show me that fast. So I'm gonna go delete it right now. Hurry, fast, delete it. Access tokens. I mean, you could kind of have fun with me at this point, but I'd rather you didn't. Revoke. Okay, just in case you ever stream your token, that's what you do. So I mean, that was like, keep this token a secret. Oh shit, you should reset it if that ever happens. If you put it on your stream. Okay. Incoming email token. Wow, look at that. Look at all those awesome tokens you guys got. Okay, I'm going to reset them all now that you know that they're there. This is why I made a dummy account for this, because you cannot have a stream about doing any kind of thing with an API without, seriously considering the risks of what's going to happen. You're going to dox tokens. There's no way to do one without it. So just make sure you have yourself covered there. And oh yeah, okay, there we go. Nice. Yep. All right. That's beautiful. Reset you too. Wonderful. Okay. And then here we'll get this one here. Now, what I would prefer to do with this is to have this token, saved someplace else. So yeah. I think here I'm actually going to delete this token after today's session anyway. So, I'm going to attempt to hide it at least for the session, and then if I fail, I'll just delete it. So let's say Gits. We'll give it the API. I know you're still in the black. Apologize. I'll be back here in a second. And we're going to go ahead and create that and copy that. It says here you won't be able to access it again. And that's awesome. So that's what we want, right? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. Temp Gits token. And I can put this in here so y'all can't see it. And so yeah. Let's see something. All right. Let me just test something really quick. Yep. Okay. All right. So that should work. Where am I? Here I am. All right. And there, oh, fuck. Did I really just do that? This is the part where you tune out and go, this guy is a moron. You know what? It's hard. Let's see you try to do this work without having tokens on the stream. I mean, come on. How dumb do I have to be to do that, right? Well, I tell you what, I didn't do all of my tokens. I just did those two that are like sitting in your face. I mean, why did they go? Okay, so little moment of critique here on the GitLab. So why are those tokens like there for everyone to see, but the other one they make a big freaking warning that you should look at it now, and and write it down, or you're gonna die because you'll never see it ever again. I mean, why did they make such a big deal about hiding that one? And then those two there are just like sitting there for someone to see. So I mean, that one kind of caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie, that was like kind of unfair. So yeah, let me try to. I'm back now, and I think I'm safe. And if anything, just don't be me. So we're gonna clear this out. Clear, and we're gonna return back to where we were here. And so here we go. We're on. What are we doing here? We're looking at a service. We're going to create a repo. We're going to do some stuff with curl, so I'm going to just put this aside for now for a bit. And it's going to be tricky. I'm going to really have to watch what I type here because I cannot dox that token on the command line, and it's really hard. Because in order to test things, you have to kind of print what the curl line is, and that line usually includes a token. So who knows? I might have to change it 10 more times. But you'll learn something, and you'll learn not to be me if I do that. So the next thing we need to do is, so we got our token here, and then we can do this kind of thing. I don't even like using environment variables because when you echo that stuff, it definitely will show the token. So header authorization request post data query. This is why this part right here is the reason that I did this other command, because this is really hard. All the escaping and stuff can really get overwhelming, and so I'm going to use that from my tool that I have built. I'm actually going to hack my tool for a second, and this will get us the stuff that we want for the curl stuff. And I remember now that I did this back in the day. GraphQL GQ, I think. Yep. And so rather than doing GitLab token, what I'll do is this. I'll do cat temp. What did I call it? I think I called it GitLab token. And oh no, Gits token. That's right, Gits token. So yeah. So that's a little safer. I mean, I could read it just right into the thing, and normally a cat would be stupid there. I could just read it. Actually, I think I can just read it. Let me test something here. My shell's a little rusty here. Foo. All right, so something echo. Pretty sure you can do this. Yep, you can. Okay, so I don't need to use cat there. Actually, I think a lot of people confuse. I've heard people tell you to use Z shell to do that. That works everywhere, and it's important that you know that does not work as a substitute for cat in some situations. So anyway, let's change this. We don't need that. We can just do this one. Then we don't have the line in there. So yeah. Okay, so let's take a little look at this for a second so you can see what's going on. So what this does, this uses parameter expansion in shell. I know this, you guys are looking for Go, but I should probably put shell in the stream as well. This uses parameter expansion to escape all the quotes, force everything into a single line, and then because you need that for curl to work, and then it removes any random tabs, which I don't know why they appear, but sometimes they do. And then it goes ahead and it makes the entire GraphQL thing. And this, by the way, the query that comes from this is the same as graphical, which we'll do again. That's the graphic interface to GraphQL for experimentation. But using it, so the thing that burned me up on this is you can go in and do, you know, a beautiful GraphQL query in graphical, and then you can come do it on the command line with curl and fail, because there's all this escaping that has to have happen. So that is what that's about. If you would like a copy of this, I can give it to you right now. Actually, let's do that. So if you are on, just watch the GraphQL documentary. Oh, did you really? The whole thing? Wow. So yeah, good for you, man. So here's GQ. If you want that thing. If you're on YouTube, it's you know, this is the thing where I want to be able to eventually have this go to everyone, and it will once I get the API ready for Restream, which is another project. So in the meantime, where's my YouTubers? Hey, we got a few YouTubers here. So I'll go ahead and send this to you guys too, if you'd like. And you know what? I'll just keep you guys around, so I can send stuff to you. Go ahead and. Oh, I'm talking to myself here. I don't like that. Stop talking, Rob. Say something. So there you go. So if you click on this, just, oh god, what is with that? That is such a Firefox thing. I hate it. So anyway, you can use that and play around with that in your own shell scripts. You'll obviously need to mess with temp gets token, maybe use the variable if you want. I don't like that because, you know, it dumps it as well. I'd rather not. So anyway, I'm gonna leave you YouTuber up here for a second. So all right, so what do we got? We have so it's time to write a curl line. And actually, I think I can get away with just using GQ because I did all the hard work from before. But let's do graphical here. It's a graphical. I don't know. Let's find the link. Where's the link? Is it over here? I think it is. Getting started. Let's go to this URL inside of our other Firefox instance. It's not, you know, gonna get in trouble or anything. So here we go. We can start playing around with this. We got our personal access token. We have the command line, header, application JSON, request post, current username. So let's actually try this one. You can, if you want to do it from the command line, you can do this. This is going to fail, obviously. If you the other thing too is I don't think so instead of using GraphQL token here, I should be able to do this and do temp gets token. And that should work. Yep. And that will just get your name. So there you go. Yay, our first success, right? So we did our example. We have the URL for the GraphQL. This is almost always API GraphQL, which is a cool thing about GraphQL is that it is it's got a common entry point, unlike Rust, which has different entry points for all of the queries, which seems like a good idea at first. I'm sure to the rest people, but it, you know, it's not. It's nice to have one URL and then be able to vary the query that goes to it. You know, kind of like God intended, right? So anyway, here's the header. We send it to bearer. We send it to bearer token, which is pretty common. So Twitch does that. GitLab does that. XML RPC, right? Yeah, that's kind of scary. So, and then of course, this is important that it's content type application JSON. You'll see examples that have application GraphQL, and that is not supported across the board. So, the hardest part about that is that, and this is why I made that GQ thing, is because this is JSON, right? But this here, okay, so here's where the JSON stops. Everything inside of these quotes right here is not JSON. And it's confusing when you first start because you got all these quotes going on, all these curly brackets, right? And you're like, oh, but then there's like all the rest of the stuff from JSON is missing. And it gets even weirder because there are things that have quotes in them within GraphQL. And I'm not going to lie, that on the command line, that's a pain in the ass because you can't remember where what goes, where and all that, right? Not to mention the fact that because it's a command line argument, it has to be on a single line. So that's where you saw me doing all that commenting outpost because curl can't do multiple lines. And so that gets really painful to write shell scripts without a helper app like I made. But it gets, goes away when you use any tool, any language that has a decent, HTTP client built in. And I mean, if you saw any of my streams of February, I was like all about, curl all the things. And I still largely like curl because it's so fast to code like we just did versus, doing the same thing and Go. And we're going to do that right now. Just to get, our bearings around how do we make a connection, blah, blah, blah. And so yeah, but in the end, I think following the Google shell style guidelines, they said in the first paragraph, it says, if you get a shell script above 500 lines, you should probably be writing it in another language. And I love that because that's say what you want about Google, but they got a lot of engineers there, and that's a very practical, advice. If it's getting that big, it's time to put the shell aside and do it in a real language. That's not fair. Shell is a very real language. It's very effective. I love it. You convert it to awk exactly. Or Perl. Greg's been working with Iggy from YML, and I'm sure he would do the whole thing in Perl, and it would be done, right? That's me too. I mean, even Perl and Python, they do have APIs for it. So, for client communication, HTTP, and all that. The bottom line is you need a language that's got an HTTP client of some kind, and a lot of people reach for Node in that case. I'm not a fan of interpreted languages anymore, pretty much at all. I just unless I'm doing a shell or I'm doing JavaScript in the web, I'm just not a fan of interpreted languages, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people who lived through the interpreter language mania, and we've kind of cooled our jets on it. And we're happy that the compiled languages are now on board with the ease of use and development. I don't want to start a language war, but with that, and Go is of course my first pick for that because it's so easy to code. Okay, so the question is, how much of this playing around with curl do we do? And I'm gonna say not anymore. So I'm gonna go remind myself how to do the HTTP API, and pull down one of the good clients. It's all built in, so it shouldn't take me like 2 seconds to search this out. But yeah, I want to continue to do the development on this using Go, and then be able to cut and paste in the thing there. The biggest question here is going to be, well, where do we get the token from? And this is where I'm going to kind of punt here too, and I'm going to, it just occurred to me that by not using the shell, I'm actually less likely to dox my token because, I'm using actual, not just cat kind of things. And so there's going to be a lot on the command line. So I'm actually going to go ahead and move that token, and I'm going to document a little bit of stuff here from configuration so I don't forget. Okay, let's see, in order to use Gits, you first need to create personal access tokens for the services you intend to use. And actually, this is I'm gonna Eventually there's going to be a command to do this, but I think we should just go ahead and put them in a standard file directory, and once added to Gits, once added with Gits config, you can say they will be in .config. Actually, what is it? XDM, I think it is. I don't like using XDM, but we need to find. I think it's XDM. The standard environment variable to look for. env grep XDM, I think it is. Is that right? XDG? No, XDG. There it is. So this is where you're supposed to look for things. XDG config. I'm almost positive that's it. No, it's not. And what is it? It's like, what's the one that sets up? What's the one that makes config? Is .config. Whoops. Is .config the standard configuration directory? I don't like thinking about these things right now, but I wish I had a library that just abstracted all this. Find the best configuration place. I should probably write it. Not right now though. It looks for an environment variable, looks for it here, and it finds it the right place. So it's your root bin, boot, no, .config, configuration files, nope. I know it has an environment variable name and I can't remember it. Should I put my configuration files in .config? Yes, on Linux. And yeah, Linux useful. Browse from the directions pointed to, blah, blah, puts them in. Stupid stack exchange. Let's see if it's just, I'm just looking, there's an environment variable that defines where this is. But by default, it's usually home.config, of course. Yeah, there it is. That's it. All right. So I did have it right. So xdg config home. Default is home.config. So, interesting, because I don't remember seeing that. Let's see here. env grep config. Huh. xdg. I wonder if it's because this is default. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Huh. Use missing configuration files. The direction plan with the following direction. I find that interesting. Anyway, in case you're wondering where the .config stuff came from, that's where it comes from. The question I'm having is, do I look up xdg config home, and if it's there, look for it there, or do I look at it? That is the proper thing to do. So let's just write that code really fast. It's like really fast code to write. And tell they'll, once added, they will be stored in flat text within your configuration directory, and within your configuration file. How about that? Usually, let's do that. Usually, so /. I mean, let's be real. No one's using anything but Linux these days. So, for this kind of command line stuff, anyway. So, I mean, even on Windows, right? On Windows, yeah, maybe PowerShell a little bit, but Windows, it comes with Linux now. So, config gets.json. Or did we use YAML? Yeah, we're going to use YAML. Yes, we are. I hope Iggy saw that. Or is it his name Iggy? I forget his name. Who created YAML? Mr. YAML himself. One of our guys has been working with him today. YAML. Rhymes with camel. YAML. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, we get it. I do not like the default color scheme for some of the stuff on Wikipedia. Wikipedia is the worst at this stuff. It has this really weird style that does not play well with stuff. YAML emitters. Why doesn't it have the history? Anyway, it usually has history. Oh, there we go. Oh, there you go. Ingi.net. Ingi.net. And Oren Ben Kiki. Yep. All right. So anyway, Ingi, I think you say. I don't know how to say it. Usually, config gets to. Okay. So, but the reason I'm doing this is because that's where we can put it now, and we can make a decision about what it is and where it lives and blah blah blah. And I'm a big fan of YAML for configuration. I used to be a real stickler for the YAML, like is asked for by the people who do it, but YAML has kind of been pushed on the world. So why do I care about that? Because I need to put that token somewhere, and then I can start writing my API for it. So let's go ahead and copy that to the file. I'm going to actually do that off stream. It's going to take me just a second. Okay, so temp, what are we moving? Moving temp, blah, 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 gets token to dot config slash gits. What are you talking about? What you talking about? Okay, and then gets token to config gits dot YML, and then I'm gonna edit this thing to make it match. So then I can parse it from YML and put in my token in here. And I'm going to put it under the GitLab header. So the GitLab service, and then I'm going to say token colon, and I'll put some quotes around that. And that should be good. Yeah, and then I can use it to save it. I mean, I might just use JSON for this, actually, because JSON is easier to parse and write, and I am going to be writing to it. So this is my qualifications for JSON and YAML. I pick YAML when there's no chance that the file is going to need to be written by anything. And I pick JSON when I know the file is going to be written and all kinds of stuff are going to happen with it. So for that reason, I'm gonna use JSON, and because I just trust it more for this kind of thing in terms of writing it, particularly because there's no decent YAML tool for writing YAML. It's really sad, actually. I'd really like to rectify that at some point, but today it sucks. So yeah, so we have let's see, GitLab. So actually I'm going to make a services thing. So we'll have the top level, we'll have services, and under that will be, let's see, we'll make services and, yeah, by name. So We'll make that a submap. And then we have, I know I'm still black. I'll get you all back here. So GitLab, and then under GitLab, we'll make that also another hash map. I refuse to call them objects. I refuse. JavaScript says they're objects. I say bullshit. And so got to change all the double quotes and get those in the house. And now I have a valid JSON file. All right, so that looks good enough. And so, yeah. I think that is going to be enough. I'm going to actually shut down that file permissions really quick. I'm not on a multi-user system. It's just a force of habit. Oh, and I also need to rename it. So I'll bring you guys back. You can watch this boring stuff. All right, so chmod this, and we're going to do dot gits.yml, which obviously is wrong. Oh, dumb me. What is my problemo? Gits, there we go. And I need to move that to the same thing but JSON. And what are we talking about? Oh, did I do an RM? Now's the time for you to laugh. Please start laughing. Laugh. Please laugh. If you don't laugh, I won't feel like I've entertained you. You realize what I just did, right? Because you didn't see it. You just think I'm just coding away. The level of stupidity that I just exhibited is beyond belief. I scream. I cannot tell you the level of stupidity. And I didn't even dox my token that time. That time I deleted the token completely from the system that I just downloaded. You know, this is what happens when I have a beer and I'm coding on a Saturday night. So there you go. You know, I just like, yeah, I just like nerfed myself with a rocket gun. So that's the equivalent of what just happened right there. So I'm just talking through my fix of this. Well, because it's got my token in it, or not mine, but my pseudo user token. I'm not that dumb anymore. I actually don't use my own account for this shit. And I'm going to go get access tokens. But as you will recall, there's a big old warning saying you're never going to get this token again. So there. And so I actually have to reissue a new token. So here we go. So there, I'm about caught up with you people. How you doing, Scream? What are you doing tonight? You having some fun? What is that? Professionals. Yeah, I am a professional programmer. I've been paid for it. That's the only qualification for being a professional. The fact that I'm doing it live is all I have to say about that. So there. So there. Don't you judge me. It was a good old RM command, you know, and I was like, because I was like supposed to be a move command. It's actually, I still have it here. I can still feel the pain. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, why it's all black, I'm putting my token in, I'm recreating my token file that is something I just downloaded in JSON, and this is something that's going to be automatically done later. So I'm adding services, and under the services I will add GitLab, and under GitLab I'll add a token, and for the token I will give it a actual value, which, okay, I'm looking all around to make sure no one can see. All right, I'm not that dumb. I swear to God, I'm a smart dude. Please believe it. I swear, I'm just, you know what the first sign of me being dumb is? Doing this shit live. That's how you know I'm dumb. I mean, that there's like proof positive that I'm stupid. It's like a dubious decision to code anything live, let alone something with a token in it. Where's my? I need another beer. Where's the beer? All right, so I'm back. I actually, of course, I'm going to check this and clear the screen and be really careful because I don't want to do it all again. But I think it's safe to say that 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 file exists and is the right name. One last confirmation just to save us all time. And gets so yeah, there we go. Good Rob. Good Rob. You get a biscuit. And I should just go watch a movie. I know it's black, Mark. It's because I'm an idiot. Give me a second. But thank you for the reminder. I would have done that for another hour. All right. So all indications are that I can turn the thing back on. Just in case anybody think I'm like really brain dead. Yeah, there we go. A minus RWX. So I did not create a token for my personal account. So even if you were to see it, you're not going to get access to anything but this test account. So I can actually show you how to do this stuff, which I wouldn't dare to do on my own account because I got too many valuable things in there. And so yeah, let's continue. So let me make sure you can see. Yes, okay, you can see. I should probably check on our YouTubers. How are you doing, YouTubers? Are you over there somewhere? We got a couple of YouTubers. No, it's just our faithful. We have 2 faithful YouTubers watching. I actually think that might increase at some point when I can actually hear what they're saying, because I can't right now, and I have to rewrite an entire API for Restream so that I can use WebSockets and talk to the chats from all of the sources instead of just using Twitch's IRC, which is what I'm doing right now, in case you're wondering. So stay tuned for another day. We're going to do that, and I'll show you how to write that API. I'm going to do a lot of it just live, just, completely live. I might not even know if it's possible, but we're going to do it. And so yeah, I'll be doing all of that also as a separate account so that, we don't give up that kind of thing. It can be hard to do that though with Restream. I must have created another account the other way. So anyway, yeah. So what are we doing? Well, right now we've already done our curl command, and I can actually repeat that for you just to kind of give you guys, if you're just joining us. This is the sample curl command that just does a basic GraphQL query against the GitLab API, and it just returns your name, just returns your username. It doesn't do anything fancy. The magic of the token stuff is happening right here. There was no token there at that location any longer, so that I won't be able to do that. But that's where you would put the token. And so the next few minutes, we're going to be putting all of that into an API and making an HTTP call. So I'm going to have to remind myself about how to do an HTTP client connection. I know it's really basic and everybody does it all the time. A lot of Go programmers out there are getting paid for Go do HTTP client requests like every day. They're working with HTTP client. I don't. I generally use curl for that, so I'm going to have to look it up. But that's fine because you guys can learn along the way. So I'm just going to go ahead and look up the Golang HTTP GraphQL API and see what libraries are out there interacting with the GraphQL API. Here we go. There's a nice blog about it. Bytes, JSON encoding, NetHTTP, basic stuff, same stuff I would expect. There we go. They're writing a query as a map string for JSON data. That's interesting. And that's interesting. I mean, we're going to have to figure out how to compose that. I wonder if we can get away with using text template for this. If you know Go, there's a text template library, which is pretty cool. And so yeah, that's pretty basic. Get a new HTTP request that's supposed to the GraphQL API, sends a JSON value, and pulls it out. Not too hard. So yeah, I'm trying to look at where the bearer token goes. and I don't see that. Bearer token is a header, so we just have to set the HTTP header, and should be good to go on that. So again, this I haven't written a GraphQL specific API call, and I've written HTTP servers in Go. So let me see if I can read any other information on that. Go GraphQL introduction to building GraphQL and Golang. Let's see what this one says. Let's see, dive in. Prereqs, blah, blah, blah. Do not like that at all. GraphQL API server in Go, which is cool. That's probably what we want to do later. I understand on YouTube to be able to send it on Chromecast because I got an error with Twitch. Oh, nice. Yes, please do. That's cool that you can send it to Chromecast. I'm happy you guys can do that. It's another main reason I went to YouTube is that you can put me on your TV if you, God help you. It's also a reason I don't have my face on the screen. At some point, I'll go back to that when I actually spend time on grooming and shit, as opposed to just coding. You don't want to. It's like a waste of screen real estate anyway to have my face there. But at some point I will do that. Let's see. We want to do the GraphQL API. Oh, look, he's using Gorm for that. Jenny, are you there? Somebody, who was it? Oh no, Dusty. Dusty was asking us about what if there was a good good ORM of some kind. Orb, and there you go. So let's see. What's some of the examples? GraphQL, Golang, deep dive. I mean, this is a really popular thing to do. So there's a lot of write-ups on it. Thunder, GraphQL Go. I have to say that GraphQL Gen is winning among the libraries I've tried. I'm trying not to use a library here. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but you know how it goes, right? It's like, I mean, I think you should do the first things without a library, and then, I mean, it depends on how fast you want the thing, right? This looks pretty cool. Sort of without any fuss. Examples. Oh yeah, so here you go. You can just write your GraphQL query. Maybe not. GPL.yaml. Oh god. Yeah. Oh wait. It looks like it's a way of generating it as a server. Huh. All right. Well, I should probably go through the formal specification of that at some point. Just cause. So, it will work with Twitch. Yeah, I don't know if it's because it's Saturday night, maybe. Please let me know if you have like continual problems, because I did request to drop affiliate, and they may have screwed that up and dropped my account somehow. I hope not. So, I mean, I just don't know. So, let's see. I think we should do it without all of this stuff. First of all. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. So far, this first one seems pretty good. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we want to do. Oh, wow. Wait. This is using graphical. Let's see. GraphQL Go, the first one's a... Wait. Oh, wait, this is the same one I was just on, is it not? It's a different one. That's not the one I wanted. There we go. All right, so we just want to use plain old JSON and NetHTTP. And by the way, NetHTTP got a real boost in the arm. It's a really fast API now. In terms of serving up stuff, fast HTTP is still faster, and that's a Golang version. In fact, that's faster than all other web servers except for stuff in C and Rust, which I misquoted on a Rust stream. A stream about Rust. So here we go. We need some JSON data. We need HTTP. So this is going to be the thing we're going to cheat and read. And we can actually use our curl here. Whoops, is that the last one? Where's our curl line? Nope, that's not it. All right, so I lost my curl line. I'm going to have to find my curl line again. I think it's behind here, but we can figure it out. How's it going, Locklust? So let's do this. Let's go ahead and do. Well, let me get back to where I need to be. Not pagan. I've been doing that all day. So Gits. There we go. And so this is it's kind of an implementation thing that we're doing here. And I want to avoid using the main. So I'm actually going to put this in a test, and I'm going to comment out the test code. Writing a test is actually an easier way to execute something than writing a command. Even if it's something you're eventually going to disable in the main test suite because it's based on the internet. And I've just found that to be kind of convenient. So, for example, let's go ahead and I mean, we've got an interface there. So let's say, well, let's go ahead and make a package for GitLab. And this is, I don't know, this is, like we could do this a couple ways, but I just like making a sub package. I think it's the way to go. So let's do that. Let's do GitLab, and let's make a GitLab.go file. And it just doesn't know what package it is, so we're gonna have to fix that. So GitLab is the name of the package. This is going to be a service. We don't need any of this stuff. And the question we have here is, how do we get that token and all that? So we're going to have to write that code first before we can actually do anything with it. This is the reason curl is faster for this kind of stuff. But we've got to write it anyway, so we might as well. And I'm going to go ahead and put that together. So we have to, we have to write something that reads a configuration file, which is, of course, not hard. However, the first function we want to have work over here is going to be actually, I'm wondering if we can make, we need to make this a service. So let's make a struct for this. So type GitLab. GitLab is going to be our service. No, you know what we can do? We can do service like this. You know why? Because it's in the GitLab package. So it'll be GitLab.service. So, and that can contain all the information about it. And so that's just a struct. This is actually one of the reasons I like using subpackages, because of this kind of thing. And so, I mean, we could get, I'm trying to think here. We could actually make this struct match what is in the JSON file. We are going to be using traditional tagging to do unmarshalling. Hey, Greg. I actually talked about you earlier. We're doing a different thing today. So I'm just having a fun Saturday night. I thought I'd play around with the API for GitLab. I've already done some really wicked, horrible mistakes, so it's been fun. I was trying. How do you pronounce his name? Is it Engi? Engi? We were looking at the YML stuff because I actually had some stuff in here. And so I'm gonna put token here, and token is a string, and we're gonna say it's from JSON. Actually, I don't have to put that if I use capital, which I did. I actually prefer capitals inside of my services. And I've taken lots of breaks too, Greg, by the way. So yeah, let's do this. So we've got, I mean, that's really it right now. And then what I can do is I can implement the methods on the service so that we implement the proper interface. Probably be the Russian spelling. Engi. Is it Engi or Engi? Ng. So func. So let's see. So we have a func, and we need a receiver S for service, and then we need create repo, and we're going to put a thing on that, and we have an error return, so return nil, and error, and we'll put it to do here. But with G, Indy with G, Ingi. Okay. So I'm just fulfilling the interface here, even though it's empty and not doing anything. So we have delete repo and create repo. And we are taking an interface. Yeah, so we have like, actually I think it's S, right? Is that what the interface is? Oh, and we have to say that this fulfills the repo. So we're going to say this fulfills the service API. No, interface, sorry. And repos interface. And same thing for here. Repos. I don't know. We're going to say like R, I guess. So we have multiple R's for interfaces for that stuff. So this should have fulfilled itself, but it is not because it's not been saved in any way. So nothing knows about it yet. My thing doesn't know about it. So create repos, delete repos, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to fix that. I'm just going to make these signatures match just for clarity. And so it doesn't have it yet because it's got problems still. So let's do go install and have that install now. When I edit this, it should know about it. And when I save it, it should implement the interface. Actually, that's curious. I mean, it's not. It should definitely do that. I don't have any tests going on. I'm actually not building anything with it, so that's kind of the problem. So GitLab is a service. It fulfills. Oh, I forgot to do this. So it is a different. It's not in here, and it's actually calling itself, which is a problem. So that needs to be Git service. There we go. That's what we want. And so this says that this service, this implements a Git service, which means, and then it's got extra stuff in it. And so yeah, the implementation of this does not require. I think we can still marshal this without a problemo. So yeah. So the thing I'm pausing on now is we need to actually get that token. So I need to load it, which means I need to load that file, load the configuration file, parse it, and I feel like that should be done for all services. So I'm trying to figure out where that would go. We need a function that loads all the config and can instantiate those other things from that. I think it's all going to be strings too. So let's just dive in and put that in the top level here. Config.go package goes. I'm going to put load config. I don't know. I'm trying to decide how to do this. You can keep the configuration in the package namespace, or we can create kind of an encapsulating thing to cover the whole thing. This is an easy rabbit hole to fall in when you're writing utilities, and I'm unfortunately influenced by my Java background on this, which everything is a class, right? Sometimes just having a package is fine, and doing stuff in the package namespace is not an issue, and but it does make it not concurrent. So if you wanted to have, I mean, these are, we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to do mutex on there anyway. I'm thinking ahead about like having two connections, one connection to GitHub and GitLab at the same time, and then being able to do something from one and then have it operate on the other one and have it be a synchronous operation that shares a configuration file that that has some sort of status or data that's being updated. And that's not hard to make that. I mean, it's a very, very slow, but synchronous kind of operation because the one thing has that before the other one. So I'm trying to think if there are any case where I would want to have a different configuration loaded for any instance of this library by a command or something. So if I instantiate, what am I instantiating, right? If I open up the package, then I can say I can just say load config in here, and it will load the config into an environment variable that lives here, at the top level, right? And then to get to the config, all I have to do is go to gits.config, and I've got data, right? And so that's a practical way to do it. This is just a little command. But the thing that always grates on me is like, well, what happens when this library grows up and is a big boy, right? What happens after that? And if somebody wants to use it, are they going to use the config file this way, or are they just going to use it for the other stuff? It is very much kind of a user land sort of application. This isn't likely to be used as a package, but it could, and that means there has to be some configuration. And so the question I have ultimately is, do I want a centralized configuration that represents everything in the package that's being used? And this is actually triggering a learning experiment that I want to do. And I'm going to take a little tangent. I'm going to take a break for like 2 minutes. I'm going to do a learning tangent on this. I've had this come up twice already, and I'm really, really curious about the scope of packages, of package variables. And as I understand it, the package namespace, environment space, is distinct between imported packages. And I know for a fact that you can import a package more than once, and I know that sounds really weird, but you can. And so the reason I want to go through this little experiment before I keep going here is I want to reconfirm what I confirmed a long time ago with my tab commander about the nature of scope within packages in Go. And it's not the kind of thing you can read about. This is not written about anywhere. So if you'll hang tight with me for a few minutes while I get another beer or something, I'll come back and we'll do this little experiment. Again, the experiment is to find out if how global is a package namespace, and can a package namespace be isolated from another package namespace that is the same package in the same execution runtime, in the same execution space? And basically, do we get encapsulation just by the nature of it being in a package, or are you only allowed to import one package? And therefore, if you put if you set variables in the package sort of global space, then you better be prepared for everything to be forced to use those things. All right, I'll be right back. Oh my God, it smells so good. Are you just relaxing? right. Let's have some fun here. So I'm going to clear the chat a little bit. Let me give myself a little bit more room. All right, I can do this just in a temp directory. So I'm going to make a temp directory called pkg scope. And we're going to go in here and just do this little package scope experiment. You're wondering, well, how does this relate to the whole Git repo thing? Well, we've already got a configuration file. We're going to be loading it. So the question is, I don't have a need for this, but if I had the configuration file loaded and I put it in a package variable, how limited would I be later? And would I be forced to always use that? And the reason for that is because there's two ways to approach that. If that is overly limiting, then I can do the Java or the OOP thing and make a class for the thing and then instantiate, put everything under, a single sort of, combined aggregate of all the stuff, which would include the scope here. But what I remember from Go, and I just hope it doesn't make it difficult to port, but I'm not planning on porting this, so that's not a problem, is I think you just use the package namespace for that purpose. And so I'm going to try to test that right now. The way we would do that is we would have, first of all, we create a package, so make directory, some package, and we'll put some.go, we'll name it some here, and then we'll do a thing here. So, actually, we don't even really, I guess we do need that. What am I doing? I need a command that uses the package so I can actually demonstrate the stuff in the package. Either that or I have to run a test case. One of the two. Actually, I think I can do this whole thing with just a test case. I don't need this subdirectory. Oh, crap. All right, so again, what am I doing? God damn it. Well, I'm not removing the directories. What I'm not doing. Fuck you. All right, so I think I can even do this with the main package, but I don't need to. So let's do some.go and change this to be just lib. I don't care. And we don't need this. And whoops. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna do var shared. No, var. I don't know. Config. Let's do similar to what we're doing. And let me get struct, and let's say, like, I don't know, service, I don't know. I mean, it really doesn't matter. So, I just make a string. I don't care. And so how do we, this is a part of the library. There's a service here. It's been defined. And actually, you know what? Actually, we can go even one better than this. We can actually just do something like this. And go var something equals hello, and oops, how about greeting? So we have var greeting equals hello, and the thing about Go you have to know is that if you define anything in the outside of a block, it has to be included with var, and it can't have anything that executes over here. That kind of stuff will be allowed, and that stuff is processed before the init method, which is before the main method, in case you're wondering on the order. And that means you can actually manipulate this in the init method before it even gets to the main method. And so what am I doing? Well, it's just a variable, right? But this thing I want to find out is if I can have two instances of the lib package in a single execution that are doing something. So I'm going to write a test case for this, and I'm going to use the example-based tests, which usually have something after like that to force it to require a package for everything. And I'm going to do func example. They're just easier to digest too. You have to have an output in here, which is, we'll just make it to string. And so, something as it should be, like hello. We should have a hello. and we should have something another, or we can do like hi or something. And so then what we have? So here's what gets interesting. So we are gonna fmt println the greeting, and if we did it twice, it'll probably fail. Actually, let's go test this. Cd temp. What are we doing? I don't remember what we even called it. Package scope. Package scope. We'll go test this. Aha. Well, this is interesting. Actually, I know what's going on there. That's just because it's in the same environment variable. I mean, the same package. I hate that the grub box is slightly off because they're using different values in the different tools. Kind of annoying. Anyway, so there's no greeting, right? So the greeting is in, I don't remember the name of the package. So let's make the name of the package sum. And that way, all right, so then it's like sum.greeting. That's a package, right? It's sum.greeting. That should be wrong. And yeah, packages found sum.go and lib. Where did you find lib? Oh, fuck that. Sum. All right, there we go. Undefined sum and undefined sum. Oh, I need a fucking go mod. Okay, go mod init. GitLab. This is pretend. This, I mean, I normally wouldn't have to do this much setup, but it's one of the reasons I don't like the new go mod stuff. They didn't really think about it in terms of prototyping and stuff. I wish there had been more discussion about it, but oh well. Undefined sum. So you can't find it. Package scope failure. I wonder if it's trying to pull it down. It would be a bad thing if it did. Oh, because this hasn't been built. So anyway, I'm gonna actually cheat here, and not dependent on my. Now I can. I shouldn't be depending on it anyway because I'm gonna have to get really creative here. So what I need to you know what? That's not a true test unless I actually save it. So yeah, I mean it's not a true test unless I actually save it into the wild. So yeah. So okay, where's some of the tests? Go. Here's package sum. Go mod. GitLab pretend. Package scope. I guess I could do a replace on. Anyway, this is this fucking mod stuff. I have to like put a replace in here to even test this. This should build. I don't know why it's not building. Did I call it greet? Tell me I didn't call it greet. I still greeting. All right, let's try something else. This is not good enough, but let's at least get this to work. So this should work and fail, actually. There we go. But that's not what I want. What I want to do is I want to test the package scope. So I want to force this thing to be outside of the package so it doesn't resolve internally and it forces it to do external resolution. This is the thing I'm testing. So it is GitLab pretend pkg scope underscore test. Why did it be? Wait. It should work, dudes. Dudettes and dudes. PKG scope. The only thing I can figure. I'm gonna try something radical here. Replace this with what? With dot? Yeah, I think you can replace it with dot. I can't remember. Replace module without version must be directory path. Okay, how about that? Undefined greeting. That's what we want. So now it's like I can't find it. I need a prefix. And so I should be able to put some dot greeting. Even it still can't find it. So we need to do this. Have.com. What the fuck is... What the fuck did I do with it? Go.mod. I need this line here. And so yeah, this is our import, which is then going to be replaced. There we go. That's what I wanted. All right, now we're good to go. So you see what it did? It grabbed some out of it, and so the package name is something my Vim tool does. Is it actually, not my personal Vim tool, but it pulls out the package name from the repo, the path location. It doesn't matter what you name it. But here's where the test comes in. So if our test works, we should be able to say other.greeting here and do this and change this to be other and have two completely different values. So and of course that's doing what we want it to. But if I do other.greeting equals hi, that will pass. Undefined hi, well, because I'm a moron. All right, there we go, pass. So that confirms our situation. Actually, we need to also print this one just to confirm. That should be hello after the fact as well. Aha. Aha. It failed the test. Okay, people. Do you see what happened? Do you see what happened? And watch this. I bet you anything this is high. If this passes, yep. All right. Well, we have just confirmed that no matter how many times you import a package with different prefixes, the symbol tables underneath are the same. That is the conclusion. The conclusion is no matter how many times you import a package under however many different prefixes, you are importing the same thing, and your prefixes will not isolate the scope of the individual imports. So if you change one, as you can see, this at first printed out a hello, and then it printed a hi, and then I actually, well, it printed the hi because I changed it to hi. But you'll notice I changed it on other.greeting. I didn't change it on some.greeting. So, it follows that if I had changed the opposite, if I changed, some.greeting to hi, then other would have also changed. Because ultimately, these are just aliases. Same thing as if you were doing this, by the way. So, you could also do, this is another thing too. So I could do like, var another equals example. You guys know about that, right? So that's just an alias for the same symbol underneath, and then the pointer to the what I assume is a symbol table. You know what? Let's try something here. I've been curious about this too. Use a package without some selector. Yeah, see, you have to have a selector. You can't just print it out. In fact, I don't even think you can print off the thing. So it's not, it doesn't have something to grab. It's a prefix to a table, but it is a reference underneath to a symbol table that matches. So even if I print out the T version of this, I doubt seriously that will work. No, because it still needs something going on after this. And so, yeah, that is it. Further confirmation could be if we took a reference to the thing. Let's try that. So if I were to take, if I print those out, invalid indirect of some as a string, you can't do pointer strings. So yeah, that confirms that. All right, let me regroup and move my body a little bit, and I'll come back to this. So what we are going to do now is I'm just going to go walk around for 5 minutes, and when I come back after this, we're going to reconsider the approach of using packages for separate name scopes for the configuration file, and what the impact would be of having the configuration files live in the same package space. I don't know. I assume, I don't know. We'll talk about it. But the possibility is that we're going to have some, factory-like agent thing, and that's usually what we're looking at. It might be wise to make a Gits agent, which has all of the information in it, and can therefore kind of contain it all under a single scope. So you could have more than one agent instance, and then have them operating at the same time. And that's probably wise. I mean, it's not that much more work to do that. But that way, if you wanted to write, like a daemon that's running, like a service that's running, like, it's got an agent that's tied to multiple different accounts, and you have like multi-user accounts, and is maintaining all of them at the same time, and they all have different personal tokens, and it's synchronizing things and that kind of thing. That would be a use case where you would want to make sure that there was no name collision in the namespace, that so the configuration file that we're loading, we would never ever load that into the package space, because that package space would be shared by all the effective agents. So kind of follows that we should probably have an agent struct class interface thing, and call it I think the agent at this level, we probably don't need an interface, because we don't really care if somebody wants to implement an agent, unless it may be that somebody wants to pass around an agent, and so we might have to do an interface for that, which is kind of the right way to do it. I'm imagining somebody using multiple agents, what would they do, right? And could you change the agents or allow someone else to implement their own version of the agent? And that's where an interface comes in. So this went from a curl project in a shell script to creating an agent with a common configuration that's an implementation of an interface that anything else could declare or could implement. And that's really what happens when you start to think of production software and how it might be used later on. And it's a real battle. And that's why I need to take a break. It's a real battle, design wise in your head, to isolate the scope of an application and not get pulled into, well, what if I'm going to use this for this and this and this, when in fact you just want something really simple. But every time you make something really simple, inevitably somebody's going to go, oh man, I really want this, but this time I want to have it be in a this daemon service that's like managing like 12 accounts at one time, and then boom, you're done, because you made the wrong decision early on in how to do this. And almost always the right decision is encapsulation. And that doesn't mean inheritance or anything like that. The right decision is almost always encapsulation. And that means that you have a thing that can exist independently of another one of the same thing in the same runtime space. And so if you don't do encapsulation, and this is why people beat up globals all the time, because they don't support encapsulation. And they limit your applications. And frankly, just there, I was trying to kind of cheat and use the package namespace as my encapsulation, and we just learned that would have been a disastrously bad idea. So I'm really glad I didn't do it. I mean, I kind of had a sense that they weren't going to be okay, but that's sometimes, once again, the right thing to do is the right thing to do, and that is encapsulate. Always encapsulate. And frankly, that's one of the best tenets of object-oriented programming, not class-based programming. Object-oriented programming is encapsulation. Same with functional, by the way. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be about 5 minutes or so. I'll come back at about 9. So if you're still there hanging out, thanks for hanging with me. I hope you got some music on, some way to entertain yourself, and I'll be back soon. Okay. One more round of this. I think we'll just get the agent requested and get our configuration loaded, and we'll make one request and call it a night. Really, I just want to be able to delete a thing. Okay, so here we go. We have our example test. We can get rid of all this and go back to what we were doing, which is all that. I'll leave that. cd into Gits, good old cd dir. I don't know if you notice how that just jumped to the right place. People tell me all the time that Z shell is what they prefer because it does that. It's because they don't know about cd path on bash. You'd be surprised how many like seasoned veterans have no idea about seasoned cd path, which would have included me. I didn't learn about it until like a year ago. And anyway, so it allows you to pop around between anything that's in your cd path environment variable. And so that's how I'm doing that. Nothing really to test over here, so I guess there will be soon enough. So I'll leave that running, and we'll get to that later. Let's turn that over here. Whoops, here we go. And so yeah, we need an agent. Now the question is whether to make the agent a member, part of the interface. And I think the answer is yes. The agent can actually contain the configuration file as well. So each agent will have a different configuration, but will be loaded by default from the configuration that's passed to it. So that means we need another interface here. And I'm going to follow the convention I use to put the interface definitions at the top level, and then to put their implementations in a sub package, and it just makes all the naming work out better somehow. So we're going to do this. We're going to say agent as an interface, and we're going to have so we're going to give the agent configuration, and frankly, I mean, I could, there's two things I could do here. I could actually have the agent, like, its properties come straight off of it. Oh, yeah. Hi, Peter. Yeah, I've been using Groovebox for a while. I just didn't do it on the stream and decided to just punt and go back. I figured I didn't do it before because I was afraid it would make people so they couldn't see anything. So everyone tells me they can see it just fine, so I'm happy. So the question is, do we have a config that is going to come from the file, or do we actually use the config file to directly load into the agent? And I don't know. So yeah, I don't even know if we need an agent, if we need an interface for the agent at this point. I mean, the only reason to have an interface is so that people can implement their own things, and agents add unnecessary method calls in between things, from between that and the struct a lot of times. So I am conflicted about this. So actually, given the situation, I'm going to go ahead and just make an agent struct. And I'm going to make the agent load the config. At least that way we've bought ourselves the encapsulation I talked about. So agent go, and I might regret that this is a struct instead of an interface later. If I do, I can always switch it back. Whoops. So yeah, what have I got wrong here? Oh yeah. So here we can say this. We can say services, and that is a thing. So yeah. So services is a collection of. And this is the problem I have now is when you're unmarshalling JSON data. This is a common problem, design decision. When I'm unmarshalling JSON data, I can sort of punt and use map string interface and load everything into all the JSON data into that config file, or which will always work, by the way. That will always work. That will never ever fail because it, no matter what changes, short of a syntax error, it won't fail. If, however, and this is a big decision, if, however, you want to get specific uh, property unmarshalling and marshalling, you need to use the tags on a struct, and you need to get now. If you do it that way, you get very precise values. You can define a struct to have integers and everything in it, and then you give it the JSON tags, and when you unmarshal it, it just does the right thing. The unfortunate side effect of that a lot of developers don't know and don't learn until the very late into their Go development career is that if it doesn't parse properly, there is no error. The struct simply doesn't load, and I don't like that. I've been I've been bothered by that for a long time, and it's really unfortunate that it fails so silently. I almost want to make it fail so you can see what I'm talking about. But in order to do that, so the benefits of one is if you do the struct method, with the specific structs and types, you get all of your typecasting automatically. It's like built in. It uses reflection to do its assignment, and none of it's particularly fast. It's fast enough, but none of it's. That's why in the Pagan project we actually did our own JSON parsing. But the reason for doing it is because you get that casting for free. And you don't have to deal with switching on type and all that stuff you have to do when you're dealing with open interfaces. If you know that your JSON file is only going to have strings in it, then you can do something like map string interface or something. Actually, no, you still need to do map string interface because you either have a literal string value or you have another object typically, and so you're going to have to load that in. If you do that way, though, when you go to use the configuration thing, you're going to have to map that type. You're going to have to cast that type in order to use it in its capacity as whatever you want to use it as, if it's an int or a boolean or whatever. So there's pros and cons to doing both. In all the documentation they have, doing the standard thing for them, which is the tag JSON things and the structs. But that downside is not particularly evident until you get into it and you kind of get surprised by it. And so, yeah, and it's not, it's not, well, I'll show you. So let's actually do this. So let's assume that the configuration file that I created earlier on that's got our token in it that I need to load so I can do my stuff. Let's assume that token has, that configuration file is an exact match for an agent. And so anything that's in the JSON file that matches the struct of the agent will be unmarshaled properly, and anything that does not match will be dropped on the floor. And those things that are tried to be, like if I have a type incompatibility, if I remember right, there's no error thrown, but we'll go check that right now. So in this case, the agent is going to match my gits.json file in terms of configuration, which means I'm going to have a services object, and so this is how you end up having to do this. And there's actually there are actually tools for this, and I don't want to. I can't really work with this one right now because it's got a token in it that I don't want to give up. It's not my personal token, but still. So I'm going to be doing by hand what you can. There's an automated tool to do this code generation to map a struct to a JSON type. So, but otherwise you have to kind of implement your own thing. So here we go, services. This is also the reason I use capitals in my JSON, because they map directly. You cannot use the unmarshalling with tags method unless you have public members of your struct. You have to have public attributes, and so that kind of, if you use the uppercase structs and use uppercase in your JSON, that saves you the hassle of doing the JSON tag. So let's say, for example, if I didn't do that, if I kept like a lowercase agent and I wanted to do the JSON thing, actually no, let's use a different thing. So if I say so services like this, right, I might have to do, well, no, more importantly, if I had services like this, I might have to do this JSON services, and this is very common. Okay, because it's really not common to find capitalized tags, key value pair tags, in a JSON file, even though I've given in and I've started using it in my YAML. My JSON can never go back. It has made my JSON and YAML files so much more readable. It's insane, and I would never have guessed it. At first, it was really weird, but I swear by it now. And so I am not, and I don't complain. And by the way, if you use uppercase, like it would be that, which would be redundant. You don't need this. So you can just do the unmarshal and don't have to have all that extra tagging to do. Many people don't know that. That's a thing that I tend to find out people are not aware of. So anyway, so services, we have a service here, and so okay, what is a service? Well, a service has got a well, here's a problem we have here, is that I have used a different structure. So let me actually simulate the structure here in a comment, and just so you guys can see, and then we can go fix this up. So the config file right now looks sort of like this. It's got a thing here, and it says, so let's see, services. Whoops. And then what? We have another bracket, and then we have GitLab, and so I'm doing this so I can. And then we have another thing here, and then I have token, and I put some here. So this is what we have, and then if we had a GitHub, we would have this. So we have GitHub, we have this. GitLab would be like this. GitHub. So that is what we have here. The problem we have is that this is actually kind of weird, because these are keyed. So it's a map of what, right? So a GitLab is a thing versus like one of something, in which case I would have like name GitLab, this kind of thing. So this is, it's easier to write out like this, and the YAML is even better, but what is that going to look like in terms of struct? So this would be so I would have to have like a GitLab, but they would be identical. The value would be identical, so it would be a service. So under service says, my services would be, and you can embed them too like this, and they'll work. So service, actually I need to put a structure. All right, so this one is a struct too, and so this service is going to have what? So that is itself a service, and so the services has a git. What do we even call that? I almost think we should do an array there instead of having GitLab and GitHub. But I think I'd have to do this actually. I do. I think I have to do this. I have to do services GitLab and keep it specific, which might not be a good idea, because then I can't add another one later. I mean, it would still fulfill the services contract. Well, it's not an interface, so anyway. So services GitHub and GitLab, both of which are GitHub, which are a service. So this is annoying, particularly to no developers. No developers are like, why can't I just do JSON parse and be done? And so that's an annoyance of strict typing. And I agree. And you can load the whole thing as a map string interface, and novices do that all the time. It's all over Stack Exchange, but then they get burned later because they can't use the types because they're not mapped. So then down here we would have type service, is a struct, and that would be token, and token is a string. All right, so there we go. There's our structure, and we can actually service declared in this block, previously declared collection. Oh, because I used service as an interface earlier, so that this is another reason why I might have to do, yeah, see here. So service, we have the service interface, and I mean, yeah, I kind of want to keep that though, because that's valuable. I don't know though. I'm trying to think about this, because this is something I can put it in an interface for an agent. You know what? Let's do that. Let's change this to be agent. And if we make the interface, the repos, so that they are, yeah, we just kind of broaden the scope there. So we can create repos, but who says the repo couldn't represent something in multiple, different places? So, of course, now agent's going to give me shit because, this is the problem with having an interface and then with the naming system. So if you have a specific agent, that's an implementation. So now it makes sense to do this, to make an agent, and then have the agent.go at the top level represent the interface, so that it evaluates to gits.agent, and then this stuff all goes down in the bottom in the agent here. So then we have gits.go. So this is now an agent. We can add our stuff here. And, I don't, why not have that? So create repos. That allows multiple people to have different agents. The difference is that now our agents are representing multiple services. Our agents have a specific, actually our agents must implement a GitLab and a GitHub service. Otherwise they don't work. In my area has been dead for a good while. Not all. I've been doing some. So yeah. So we have this specific situation. So over here, I can go back into the agent directory and start the tests over here. And I'll start running some tests over here. I'm actually going to, before I do leave there, I'm going to move Gits to agent, which is kind of conventional for me. To have a file, a directory that, a file that matches the directory. The directory is the concrete implementation of an interface, and the matching Go file at the top level is the interface specification. So, yeah, and at the moment I have not finished this fulfillment. This agent does not yet, fulfill that, and I don't know that it will. At some point we need to have this here. We're going to have gits.agent, and that's why, you remember the whole naming thing I just talked about? So that's why, because look at how well that reads, right? So the gits /_agent, is an implementation of an agent, and frankly, for that matter, we don't need to make all this stuff public, but unfortunately we would not have to if we didn't have to go read from the configuration file. But because we're going to depend on tagging to read from to undo the thing, which, I'm not at this point. I'm becoming less and less a fan of the built-in JSON marshalling on Go. I'm every day I get a new. It seems like, anyway. It seems like I get more reason to not use it. And one of the biggest reasons for not using it is that I have just had to blow up my visibility of something that could have otherwise been handled very privately without, making all of these structures public. I could have kept, track of all that stuff internally and just loaded the config file. And but as I mentioned, it's not going to parse, it's not going to unmarshal without that. So I'm actually going to try something here. I'm going to try my damnedest to get this to be private, a private structure that implements an interface. That's the whole point, right? But that also can load JSON files using tagging without making your structs public, and that'll start to make sense as we go forward and try to do this. And and there's other Go coders who probably know about how to do this much better than me, but I'm just kind of talking through what I'm doing. So if everything goes well, we should be able to load this thing and be fine. And in fact, we're going to make a test case to do that. So test-driven development, we will do one for that to load that. All right. So in fact, let's go ahead and do that right now. This is going to give me an error because it doesn't implement the agents interface. So I'm going to get rid of that for now, but I want to remember to come back to it. I'd have to have the two methods on it for it to fully implement it, which I think we did already actually in the GitLab, right? So I don't know. I'm still kind of conflicted here because remember we did all this work, right? So this is the implementation of the service. Well, do we still need a service as well as an agent. The agent should have different services, and GitLab and GitHub should actually be services as opposed to the whole thing. So I'm not. So yeah, I still think we need a service interface. In fact, let me go check that. Let's do that. Git doesn't do already. Oh well, tons. Beginning with transferring stuff from one to the other. And do it all from the command line. And it'll also like integrate with any other Git repo. So let's say you wanna pull down a Git repo and like you have a Git repo and you want to push it to two different things, or it's something I've needed for a while, so that's why I'm using it. I would rather not shell script together two different command line API things, which is what you can do right now if you want. This is a long way from being finished. This is just something I wanted to do personally because I'm not satisfied with what exists right now, and particularly in terms of like agent management and stuff. So this is another thing that doesn't exist. So there's not a centralized package of any kind that is aware of both GitLab and GitHub and any other service out there that I can plug into it. And as far as I know, there's nothing out there that does that. So that's why. And to kind of like the Rosetta Stone of all the Git services. That's what we need. We don't have that. We don't just need something that deals with one of them. And nobody's going to make that from those teams because they're competing with each other. So it's going to have to be one of us out who uses it all. All right, so this is an agent. I could probably make that a service now, and because I don't think I'm going to have a conflict here. Let's try that. So yeah, that does work. Let's do that. Yeah, let's. I'm going to move the agent thing back again. Agent. Yeah. And then we're going to move agent to Git. Let's do agent back to Gits. Just got to. All right. So let's see here. Yeah, as TJ Hollowaychek says, find something that's cool and redo it or improve on it. As a learning exercise, when asked how beginners should get into learning, it's his number one piece of advice. From the creator of Express, Jade, he's all in Apex. So I think we have enough there. But I was trying to show you about configuration loading. So let's actually test that now. And you'll learn a little bit about test-driven development as well. So this little bit of code that I have here, we can actually better placed in a test code case. So we're going to delete that out and put it in an agent_test.go file because we're going to actually use it. So we'll say sample equals, oops, and we'll put a func example. We have to have a function for this. So let's say example agent, and we don't really need a function on that. Anything more than that, we do have to have this be defined as a thing. And I don't know if it's going to match. I don't know. We'll figure that later. So, and then output is just something random. And that should clean up. There we go. Okay, so what? So what? This is the we should probably make this a byte array. Yeah, let's do that. So yeah, and that'll make us able to parse it better. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is pretend that that is a file that exists, and yeah. And what else? Then let's see here. This guy goes out here. This goes here. Is that right? I'm missing something. Am I not? I am. So you need to be here. Okay, good. So let's say we had that configuration file. We need to load it. Yeah, thank you. Yep, and then let's go ahead and put that there. I don't mind that being there. So what? Cannot use blah 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 as some type byte slice. Oh, well. What are you talking about? Just literal not terminated. Oh. That's 19. What are you talking about? Oh. Wait. I think I have this wrong. You know what? What the fuck am I doing? Just cast it, Rob, you dork. Okay, so there you go. And simple card but not used. T printf sample. And this gives us our big long ugly thing. Yeah, there's probably tabs in there. Yep. Yeah. Very nice, but no. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and try to get a file as if it were in the file. I do need to strip all of these inputs, and so yeah. In fact, I don't like this because I can't actually because Go is not gonna let me not use a tab, which fucking sucks. Not even in a constant. Watch this. That is a constant. Let me check. Let's try this. I don't think I can even declare a constant inside a scope like this. Nope. Yep. God, piece of shit. I hate this because I can't use an actual example that doesn't have tabs in it. Yeah, that is like fucked up, man. Well, to be honest, I've never used JSON in an example, so that wasn't all in one line. Let's go use make files, do this thing for the project files. They have everything's just built in. All the build and everything, the generator and everything's all built in. This is like kind of pissing me off. Not kind of, it's like really pissing me off. Because this is supposed to be a literal. All right, so I wonder if that stays now that it's a constant. This is just my own experimentation. I think it did that because I put double quotes in. I swear that's why it did it. Yep. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I did set paste with the it's called set list. I mean, set list. It turns on all this stuff here. If you like these things, normally set list is not that pretty. So just a fun little thing really quick. I do this every time I do this, so you guys can have it. There's a line that will save you a lot of headache called list character format. And if you add that to your vimrc, it'll make it much prettier. We'll give that to our YouTubers if there's any. I don't know if there will be, but we'll see. Hey, hi guys. Sorry, I don't check YouTube very often. There you go. If you're still there. I am probably going to do other things besides. At some point, I'm going to tie the stream in. So just a note to our YouTubers. I appreciate you coming in. I can't see what you're saying right now because I'm still tied to Twitch, but I'm gradually getting off of it. And I plan on making an API so that my on-screen chat is coming from both places. Okay, just so you know, so you can stay tuned. All right, so that's that line. I need to do that too because I need to be able to send things like I just did to both chats. And now that I'm doing Restream, I'm really hopeful that the Restream API lets me do that. I'm not confident that it does yet because I haven't tested it, but I assume it will. And actually, a lot of this HTTP work I'm doing in Go is indirectly related to that. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff that I've been doing in Shell normally before. I'm going to go ahead and just do it in Go from the beginning now, because inevitably it grows large enough that I need to have it as Go. Did I actually type dots? I'm like so dumb today. I literally typed dots. Oh, Rob, it's fun night. It's a good fun night. Don't sweat it, Rob. I typed dots. I can't believe that. There we go. That's what it's kind of what I wanted anyway. Here we go. Why isn't this one on? You know why? Because of this. It's like this tab versus space versus dots. Exactly, Jenny. Is it gonna do it right? Nope, never does. So that's super annoying. I wonder if I get that to indent. Fuck. How about that? Is that indent? You're gonna put me all the way over there? I mean, I want it to look pretty. There we go. Pretty. All right, so set no list is going to turn all that off. All right, you got that. And so yeah. And what do we have now? Well, we got this this stuff going on here. We got print a sample here. Again, I'm just trying to get stuff to work here. And all right, so next, the reason I'm showing it is because once again, this is why we're doing this. Lots of things are going on here that I'm not explaining. I'm trying hard to stay on task, but we're just trying to. Okay, so the overall goal, of course, is to get a sort of universal Git repo tool. Obviously, it's going to take months to finish. So please don't anybody think it's going to be finished tonight. This is kind of my first, kind of departing from the other Pagan project, which is my main project right now. To this little tool, which is kind of in the spirit of the announcement that came yesterday or today from GitHub about their new command line interface. They have a full command line interface to the entire thing, everything, issues, wiki, everything. It's crazy. I've only looked at a little bit of it, and that's really awesome. But it requires you to use GitHub only. So I'm not a fan of just using one service. I want to use more than one service, so I want a tool that uses both. So the overall goal here is to have some sort of Rosetta Stone that ties these together. The really good news about that, though, is that means that the entire public API, all the GraphQL or REST or whatever they're using, is all there for GitHub. It's there for GitLab as well. So why are we doing this? Well, I'm just trying to get the tokens at this point. So I can load them from a file and have a configuration file that lives in .config/gits, and I can load that up. And I've kind of been going through this slowly so I can show people how to unmarshal the JSON that's in this file and put it into the structs automatically using the JSON unmarshal command. And so the way you do that, this is covered by lots of other people, but I just happen to be doing it here because I need it. So, so the way we're going to do this is this. So we're going to, first of all, we're going to unmarshal this. So I need to actually implement JSON and Marshall. So we're going to do JSON. It's actually was it JSON on Marshall? I think it is unmarshal JSON. I think it is JSON. So unmarshal JSON. What is unmarshal JSON? Unmarshal JSON is an interface that any struct can implement, kind of like stringer, if you know what that is. That will automatically load any JSON. So you can open it and get what you need. Unmarshal JSON. And so here we go. Custom unmarshal JSON kind of thing here. And then you give it your sequence, and that's what you get. So read all JSON.unmarshal blah 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 blah, and that'll do it. So here we go. So if unmarshal calls the value, it will actually unmarshal it into itself, and you can it'll put it in. So this is the way to do that. You can have marshal JSON and unmarshal JSON, so you can get back and forth kind of conversion. And the truth is, you don't need to implement unmarshal JSON if you don't need it to be a particular way. Showing the coverage of YAML parcel for 1.2. Ingi says HS YAML is probably the best so far. Haskell. Wow. That's cool, because Haskell's really great at implementing parsers. That's why Pandoc is in it, right? And that's great, because that means we can dig into the Haskell. Thanks for the report, Greg. All right, so we want to unmarshal this thing. And so what we're going to do is, I think I can do a byte here. I can do byte array there too, just fine. Found it in a file. Let's see here. Yep, there we go. Can it use as-type byte in slice literal? I don't understand that. Well, anyway, I go back to the cast. I'm not gonna mess with this. I'm just gonna cast it. So let's do this. So let's do. Okay. So let's make. We have to, first of all, we have to make a new one. So let's make an agent. We have to make one. So an agent equals a new agent. We're not going to do anything fancy. Just get a new pointer to it, and then we can do. So. JSON unmarshal, JSON.unmarshal, and then we do, the first thing is the pointer. Actually, I think we don't need to take a pointer to it. Yeah, V is an interface, and then we just need the V. So we just need agent, and and then we need we don't need to dereference it. That's what that's doing. I mean, take a pointer to it, and then the actual data. So the data is we cast it to an array of bytes, which is actually just a string right now, sample. And so and then after that we can print the agent, and we should get something sort of interesting. You'll see that it says it's been translated into, thank you, Peter. Yeah, we don't actually, I don't think we have the dereference here or the ampersand because it's already a pointer. Pretty sure. Let's try it. And then we're going to go ahead and do that, and we get an empty thing. I'm pretty sure we don't have to do that. Yep, it's just because it doesn't match. So this is actually the very thing that I was warning you about. If you get anything wrong, you get success, but no success. Now, I didn't check the error code, so let's do that. Let's check that. And then we're going to go ahead and check the error. And I think that's probably the way to go here, obviously. And so the error should be nil. But isn't that crazy? So this is what I'm talking about. There's no error. and we have an empty agent that didn't parse anything. Yeah, and look, there's a couple errors probably here. The point I'm trying to make here, this is one of the things I want to illustrate in doing it this way, is that this sucks. I mean, that sucks. There is no indication that the parsing failed. Nothing. And the reason that I have, over the last couple months, really fallen out of love with internal JSON marshalling is this kind of shit. Because I have no way to know whether it successfully marshaled or unmarshaled my config. The only way to know that is to check the values and see if they were loaded properly. And those values might be different depending on what I'm loading. So I don't know what value to check. It's not something I can check consistently. And it really pisses me off. I hate that. Is it bad hombres? You know what? I'm gonna take a screenshot because this is one of the most common. This is literally the way they teach you to do JSON and marshalling, and I am just brave enough now to call it out. I think it's a massive failure design wise. But there were no errors in the logs. Exactly. Yeah, send a string instead of true and then you have not to mention default, zero values, right? Because you combine that kind of shit with the default zero values and you end up getting false positives and all kind of crap. And obviously you're not going to validate. I would understand this issue of something like JavaScript, but this is a type exactly. Booyah! I mean, you are with me, bro. I mean, this is like, I'm with some prettiest from language. Yeah, right. If you reach for a strict language, and by the way, say what you want about Rust and yell at me all you want. I mean, all 18,000 people who fucking hate me over my Rust video, hear me right now. Rust nails this. It does it really, really well. Gives you very precise errors on what it's parsing, or what it's there or not, and this doesn't. And so, in fact, it's so bad that I'm right at, especially after hearing Bad Hombre's experience, I am right at the cusp of suggesting no one use tagged JSON on marshalling ever, because it's so fucking dangerous. If you and there's so much data being exchanged back and forth between JSON and the code that if you can't trust your unmarshalling to do your strict typing for you, you are just, you're in a situation where you're really going to be shit out of luck someday. And particularly if you're like, imagine this is a financial thing and you're like transferring data and something doesn't make it all the way in the JSON file, so you only get a partial read. Right? You got some sort of data that you're parsing into a struct, right? And so you're parsing that in, you're depending on that data in some sort of real time. Maybe it's even, signed or something with GPG. And all of a sudden you unsign it and then your thing has got an empty thing with no indication of any error. That's the way, really serious errors happen. And it pisses me off. And I'm sorry to have to complain about this. I'm not complaining emptily here. I'm trying to, but I wanted you guys to see it. Now, obviously, the fix here is for me to fix the JSON, right? Well, there's another fix. The other fix is to write your own fucking JSON parser. And we've done that, actually. Craig did it. And there are so many problems with the JSON parser. So I'm not going to get into this with the pagan thing. In fact, I'm going to make a whole video about this. About all the reasons to throw the fucking Go JSON parser out the window and never look back. And another two of the reasons are that when you marshal the data, it automatically escapes HTML angle brackets. You can't turn it. Well, you can turn it off, but you have to like instantiate your own decoder and set shit on it and all that. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's disastrously bad. Plus, all of them use reflection, which slows you down anyway, so you don't want to use it. And and so that's why there's like all these other plethora of things for doing JSON parsing. And then the second thing, of course, is the Unicode stuff. So there's more than one. God, I can't remember. I stopped counting all the things that I had read about people who are dealing with things like kanji and other languages that expect their JSON to be readable, and it's all escaped UML shit. And you don't get a choice when you unmarshal. You can't tell it not to use Unicode escapes for kanji characters and emojis. And that's fucking busted as hell. I mean, that's like so broken. I have no words. That's because that's a violation of the JSON spec. I mean, you know, the JSON spec says, hey, yeah, anything that's UTF-8, you're just fine. And it's saying, oh no, for your protection, we're gonna fix all these emojis and stuff. It turns out it's like related to some obscure other combination here that made something insecure. So they busted the entire marshaling of Go, the internal marshaling of Go, to make up for some like really esoteric security error in some templating system somewhere, which I can't even recall at the moment. It just really triggers me, and I'm sad to say it because I love Go. I love it, but you know, if you're gonna try to do something cute like this, like take care of the JSON marshaling for us, get it right. And the problem with this is they can't fix it now because it's been this way already. So now we're looking at a Go 2 for this fix, and everybody knows what happens when you get sick. Do I have to go down the litany of problems that have happened when you get a version 2 of a language? You know, Perl 6 comes to mind, Angular 2, Angular 3, Python 3, you know, and so this is why other languages are popular, but they also have their own quirks. So I'm okay with dealing with this quirk, but I'm gonna tell you right now, you know, make sure your eyes are wide open when you're dealing with parsing of JSON and YAML stuff. And so anyway, let's go ahead and fix this so I can show you the alternative. So obviously there's something wrong with my stuff here. Greg, you said there's like a line that's missing. See, I don't even know. So if this was my pagan parser, you'd know the exact line. Booyah! In fact, you know what? I'm seriously thinking of writing a pagan parser that matches my JSON thing, so that we get the exact line number that this stuff isn't parsing on, and we don't have to deal with all the other shit. So anyway, there's like 10 different JSON libraries because of this. So we have JSON services GitHub. I imagine I have. I would think if I had a syntax error, it would have told me. I have a feeling that my structure does not match. Period. And so that's what I'm about to fix here. Yeah. So here we go. We have services. We have two services. A service is just a token with a string, and you know, frankly, that should work. So let's actually get lower. Let's just do service. Okay. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and comment this stuff out temporarily. It's like one way to do this. I could have just done the go test run and just get the one test that I want, but this works too. So output, and then what? Then I'm going to have blah, I don't care. And then I'm actually the sample this time. So let's actually, you know what? We can jump the gun here and just dive right into the now. We'll keep the sample there because I want to be able to. So actually, let's do this JSON, and we're going to make that. I'm going to go make it a line return thing. All right, so this is actually just a service. So a service should be able to be this. Oh no, a service should be wait, yeah. So token some that should work, and JSON clever not use okay, and then here we go. These three lines, we need those again. So here we go. What do we got? Law, undefined sample. Right, we're gonna do JSON and another nil. So something's not right. I think this might actually be it. Yep. Nope. Valid character. I mean, what have I got wrong here? What I got wrong? Can I not have a space? Oh, duh. I don't want a whole agent. I want a service. That was really stupid. All right, so And here we go, service. Undefined agent. Okay, fine. I see what you're saying. And we get some. So there we go. That's nice. And yeah, and so that test passed. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this. Oh god, I can just type it, for God's sake. I don't need to. No, and some. All right, so that passes. Yay. Okay, so what? We need to build it up, and this is the only way to find these kind of errors. You know, so we're gonna do, what's the one above it? Token, no. Services, GitLab, GitHub. All right, so we have we have service. So now we have services. I almost feel like I should make it an array. Yeah. I mean, I could make it. No, I mean that's fine. Whatever. So services. So you know, I could probably bypass services and just have it be GitLab and GitHub. Why did I even have that? I mean, this is a level I don't even fucking need. So an agent has to know about GitLab. I mean, the whole idea was that we could add more later. Well, we're already stuck on having it hard coded, so you might as well take out the middle layer. So there we go. And there may or may not be information loaded about them. That doesn't mean we have to use it. So this is just gonna trim up our thing a little bit better. All right, so what we got? Marshall JSON here. What we did already, didn't I? So this guy is, wait, we don't need that. What the fuck? JSON. Actually, this isn't agent anymore. This is service. Service. New service here and agent. And here we're going to have service. No, we're going to have agent. So yeah. And that would mean that we have a GitLab and a GitHub. So I might as well actually, you know, I already have one. So let's fix this one. And let's do changes to JSON. Okay. We have an agent, and this thing is killing us down here. And it's still empty. So yeah, no services. We have a GitLab and we have a GitHub. I think I'm missing a parenthesis. Yep. I mean, a curly. Yep. 1, 2. Please do not. All right, good. That's good. That's good. All right, that's good. That's good. I mean, that should work, man. Some. Yay! Finally works. And that's fine. So, something else you can do here, though, while we're on this, before I leave this topic, this just means that we're actually loading agent, is that you can actually render. This is something that I do to pretty much everything. I don't fucking hate, but I hate that you have to deal with this weird notation that they have for printing. I know it's why they do it. I just don't particularly like it. And even though the built-in JSON marshalling has its problems, and there is one thing a little trick you can do with this. So you can do this. You can say, let's put this agent service up here. So string is pretty easy. But what you can do, so if you want your agent to be marshallable, you can say func a agent. So you don't even need a pointer, I don't think. And you could make a string. Actually, I think no, that's fine. and it returns a string. So this is called implementing the stringer interface. It's built into everything. If you do this, you can put whatever the fuck you want in here. Return blue, and when it prints it, it'll print blue. Hey, Ramingo. So the point of this is that you can represent any of your structs any way you want to, and that's really nice. I mean, you can like take integers and make them like token that are integers and have them be represented as strings automatically. But more importantly, in this case, you can actually do this, which I almost always do this. So you could say I have a bunch of bytes. So I want to say my JSON and an error, and which sometimes I just chuck the error. I don't really need it because as we talked about, it's not always there. And so you can do JSON dot let's see, Marshall, and there's some stuff you can give it to make it prettier. But then what you can do is you can just return the JSON, and so you can override your thing as you can make your string. Was it not enough arguments in the call to the JSON? Oh, is it? What am I thinking? Oh, duh. Hey, and so there you go. So if you do that little trick, you can cause any time your struct is printed, will print it as JSON. Yeah, Erg's JSON and marshalling, joining and getting directly a punch on the nose. Yeah, we were actually, Ramingo, I was just really beating Go up over it. Yeah, I'm pretty much done with the built-in JSON marshalling and unmarshalling. Yeah, for this reason alone, and I'll try to touch on the right again. If you get anything wrong here, right? So you don't well, in this case you got an error, but if for some reason the structure doesn't match, you get an empty thing. You get something that's empty, and you don't get any warning about why it didn't unparse properly, and that is really, really bad, because then you don't get an error because it parsed. It wasn't a parsing error. It was an error somehow in the format not matching the format of your thing. And I'm trying to recreate it. I can't do it now, but if I were to, one that throws an error that contains all the invalid properties and parsed for some reason, you know what? Here's the thing. As we just saw, I don't think it's a parsing error. See this? If it's a hardcore JSON parsing error, you're fine. I think it's I need to get to the bottom of it, but I think it's more about the structure of your JSON not matching the structure of your structs. And so you get that problem, right? And so for some reason it just says, no, I can't do any of it. And so it's not an error because it parsed, but it is an error that's unreported because the JSON that's there did not match what could be loaded into your struct. And I don't know a way around that. I don't. I mean, because yeah, I really don't. If you figure some out, please come back and check in with me, because I mean, it's really hairy, right? Because you have to. So if I have a struct that has struct S boolean and JSON be true, I would like a warning or something. Yeah, me too. Yeah, well that okay, so that's a really, really, really good example. Yeah, that's a good example, because that is what it's saying is that, yeah, wow, that's like hell. Oh my God, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So if there is a type inconsistency, it doesn't get caught. That's what's happening. Yeah, that specifically is a type error and not a JSON parsing error. And so I'm glad we're getting to the bottom of this. The way to say this, I think, is that type inconsistencies silently fail. So your entire strict typing is thrown out the window. All of it. For something as simple as that. And that is You need to write a blog about that. Seriously, you need to write a blog about that specific case and don't cite the company, but you need to like write it up. And then that is a massive design flaw. And I really think we need to cast light on that problem so that the Go designers can like really consider what to do with that. Because, I mean, we've talked about it before. That is a potentially massive, massive, massive problem. And I would appreciate it coming as a true case study. So yeah, if you could, I mean, if there's any way you could write that up as a case study, as like just a 1-page Medium blog or something like that, I would really, really enjoy having that, just so I could, show it as an example. I've been burned by it too, but it hasn't been in any projects that have been nearly the same type of scope. Your particular case is actually extremely insidious, right? Because it's just a string representation of false and true. Somebody put quotes on it. Oh well, they were in a hurry, right? So yeah, wow. It's just, yeah. So we have our parsing, we have our token. I'm not sure how I go about it since it's related to work and whatnot. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe just telling me is good enough because you're anonymous, right? I think saying stuff anonymous, obviously client information is never okay, to be when I start picking up more contract work, I plan on having that problem as well. I'm not going to be able to talk. It's going to be tough because people are going to know where I'm working. And so just talking about issues at work is all of a sudden sort of disclosure. And that's going to be hard because I'm going to be like coding on things that are like, I promise, this is not related to work. Yeah, I had that problem at IBM too. I was like, I'm making stuff that I was coding on things that I needed that also applied to things that I needed at work. And most of the time I didn't get approval to go open with any of them. We were talking about that the other day. If people are judging your performance based on your open source contributions to GitHub and GitLab, they're fucking morons because because the good stuff isn't out there. The good stuff is deep in the bowels of some like Fortune 500 company that no one ever is ever going to see, and you can't use to prove how awesome you are. So it's obviously it does give a sense of how you code to participate in open source. I don't mean to say it doesn't, but to think that that's representative of your entire career is if somebody judged me right now, it's kind of embarrassing. So I'm cleaning it up. So I'm writing this. If somebody judged me based on my repos right now, I would it just would not be fair. And I know they would. Like, a lot of people do it anyway. Approaching 10 o'clock time. I'm gonna wrap it up. I think this has been useful. We haven't really gotten to the HTTP part, but I like having sort of a couple projects out there to do that are available. The only other thing we really need to do here is an HTTP agent request, and so we can kind of do that now. So I do need to fix this though. That's interesting that it did it in kind of that shorter form. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I even want the string thing here. I should tell you the truth. I just wanted to show you guys that you can do that. So, you know what I'm saying? This whole Marshall stuff. We can come back. I can leave it there if we're going to add it back later. So yeah. And I mean, this is easier to match. Of course, that's probably why they do that, because they want to be able to do it. So let me get my test to pass. And we're good. We're good. We're good. Sehr gut. All right. So yeah, that's that. So we're parsing configs now. We can actually do that. And how do we actually make the connection is next. So that's got to go in the agent. And this is actually, I don't think this is a factor of the agent. Honestly, I think this is more a factor of the service and handing off to the service. Yeah, I'm kind of glad we have this umbrella agent over the whole thing, because People were asking, well, why are you doing this? And the reason is because I want to be able to give a single agent commands and have the agent do things that involve multiple Git services, not just one. And that's going to involve a level of coordination. So earlier we were trying to decide whether, if there needed to be sort of this umbrella entity over the whole thing, and there kind of does. I'm going to start using that word a lot more. I love the word entity so much more than object because it's just more relevant. It is 10 o'clock. I'm probably going to cut it. I'm going to go spend some time with my wife and watch some Happy-ish. It's a really great series if you haven't seen it. And come back to this another day. I didn't get the chance to implement the delete, but I'm all ready to go about doing it. Reading their config file was something I needed to get finished anyway. So this part here we don't even need. I can drop that. So get rid of that. I'm getting ready to do a commit here. And yeah, so we have a service create repos, delete repos as a service. I kind of want to do the create one right now, but I'll have to save that for another day, maybe tomorrow, Sunday sometime. I'm going to still work on the pagan stuff, but I like having more than one project to work on because sometimes some of the projects get kind of dreary, particularly when, pagan is, I love it, but it's at this point it's just a lot of busy work that we have to do because we've already got it working, and now it's just cleaning everything up, and it's always hard to push through that stuff and just get that part done because it's not it's not breaking any new ground anymore. It is, but as a thing, but it's it's got it's done. It's all downhill from now. In terms of that particular library, right? Everything is done. It just has to all be put together. So it's like cleaning your room up. You got to do it. It's like you already made the work of art. So yeah. So I'll come back to that stuff tomorrow a little bit and work on that. I'm gonna go and thank you for joining me all over the place. I'm gonna check in with our I'm gonna go check in with our YouTubers. Our YouTube visitors. Oh, hey, we just have the 2. So do appreciate you guys coming by on YouTube or wherever. And yeah, we'll figure out some way to encourage you guys to be able to ask questions. And as we're going through, if you have things you need to ask. Otherwise, we're gonna keep going at it. So yeah. All right. Everybody take care, and we'll possibly see you tomorrow. And thank God you can fast forward me.